This is a blog for Tuesday the 7th of October, World War I project. It will be over by Christmas. Okay, so for the start of the lesson, we decided to work on WOW, Window and Warrington project that we're doing externally. So we started with coming up with the marching section for WOW, where the boys are downstairs and we're upstairs around the balcony. So we were given sandbags as props, and showed and had to create some movements with them, and did things like press ups on the bars to show that the women were doing the manly stuff as well, because like exercise was seen as a masculine thing, and this shows that the women were taking on the male roles during the war. So that's why we did that. And then some people went off and did drama pieces, because whilst us women are at the top, there's some drama pieces going on in the centre downstairs. They developed them and then we added them together, creating transitions through each other's. So where we'd slot in, they'd slot in, and then we'd stop and they'd start, so then there'd be focus points so the audience could choose where to look. And then we refined material for that and kept developing, and was told to properly envision how heavy the sandbags would be, because the ones we were practicing, they were sacks of material. They didn't have anything inside of them, so we had to really make the movements seem very heavy and drawn down to the floor. So we had to do this a few times to get the point across that the sacks were really heavy. So then we went after break. We got onto our World War I project pieces, and we were doing presentations this week. So my group went first, and we'd rehearsed the presentations previously outside of class, and Josh didn't turn up for that, so that wasn't very helpful or productive. So that meant that Josh didn't have anything to say in the presentation. So he didn't have anything to say in the presentation at all, because we'd given what he was meant to cover to Beth, because he didn't complete his work for the presentation. So he had nothing to say at all. He didn't know what was going on with the presentation, what the piece was about, so he was completely clueless. So this is why it's essential for people to come in external rehearsals. We got feedback to say that Ashley's and Leah's sections were really good, and that my section was really good too. We need to explain, is propaganda good or bad? What we as a company think propaganda is good or bad, which we as a company think propaganda is bad. And Beth's section needs looking at, because she was doing costumes, and we've made a little bit of a hiccup for that section, so we need to revisit that. Vicky needs to be more precise with what she's saying, because she was covering space, and she said we need a vast amount of space. It's not very specific in saying how much space you need. My question was, what is your intention? Which I did give a detailed description of what we wanted to do, and I'll post that underneath the blog so you can see what I did for the presentation. And out of 10 we got 6.5 out of 10, so wasn't good, but it wasn't bad, so we still need to improve to get 10 out of 10. After this, we worked on our devised piece, which we were panicking a little, because like we're trying to think of what to do and that. So for this session we had to add Beth in. This was put a spanner in the works, because we didn't know exactly what to do. So we added Beth into the piece, and we had Josh build Beth up, because Beth looks like the woman on the screen. So we had Beth being built up, and everything was the same. We had everyone building each other up, and then in the factory line we decided we'd use Laura as a piece of machinery and build Laura up, but as a machinery part. So we created a conveyor belt, which we had in the previous session, and added Laura and moved Laura around, which there were some nice movements, and we thought we did something good. but not everyone liked it. The feedback we got given was Josh needs to get into character more, because as he's marching, he's not really taking on the physicality of a soldier. He's doing it half-heartedly, which he needs to put more effort in. But at the beginning, when people are being assembled and picked up, people need to be more ragdoll-like at the beginning, so they need floppy heads and floppy arms until they're assembled. Some people aren't doing this, so we need to do this so it all look the same. People are bringing the heads up when they're meant to be floppy, so again, more ragdoll-like. Katie didn't like us assembling Laura as a piece of machinery, and she said that we'd lost what they liked from the first piece that was mine, so we need to go back and look what I did in the first piece, which was the conveyor belt, and strip it back to basics because we're thinking about it too much. During the performance, Josh had an asthma attack, so this made it difficult, and this meant that I had to improvise and take on his role, which was unexpected. So I don't really know what you can do. So I had to step in and improvise the best I could, but it just fell to pieces. During the creative process, not many people were stepping up to input ideas. Myself, Josh, Beth and Leah were the only people who were giving ideas in, and no one else was choreographing, so this made the creative process extremely frustrating, because I like everyone's input in the piece, not just mine and a few others. So I was disappointed with this. My strengths of the session were I knew what I was doing, I was confident with what I was doing, and I remained focused and took leadership. My weaknesses were that I'd gone too far away from the initial idea that what Katie and Cindy had envisioned, and that I didn't manage to get everyone involved, which I'd hoped to. My target for next session is to get more people involved in the creative process, so it's more of a group effort instead of just a few people. And that concludes this blog.